All right, so back out in PLACERITA Canyon with Ariah. We're both going to experiment with color today. I'm painting on a 16 by 20 inch gessoed panel. I've got my usual palette of colors, but I have squeezed out a few extras. The extras are Viridian Green, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red, Cadmium Orange, Indian Yellow, and some Sap Green. Here's the scene I'll be working with. And again, I'm gonna set myself some parameters. So number one, I'm going to paint without medium today. Number two, I'm gonna try to keep my values close to a mid-range. And number three, I'm gonna try to use only primary and secondary colors. All right, Ariah, so you're painting on a 12 by, what is it? 12 by 24? Okay, so kind of a panorama view.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to fit the sky in or much of the trees in the distance here. Mostly focusing on the river and the reflection on the river.
And do you have a mission statement today? Like I was talking about having, trying to keep colors towards a mid-tone, etc.
I'm going to try to make each color an identifiable color and not mix mud or some nebulous color.
All right, I've done some burnt sienna with odorless mineral spirits. And first step is to establish the tree shape. The tree is going to be the most important element of the painting, I think. The background is fairly abstract. So I want to make sure that I like the structure of the tree. There's a trail in this area, but it's more horizontal, so I've dropped it so that it's more of a diagonal. And there's rocks in the foreground here. And there's also a cast shadow from the tree. It's going to be right in here. And this whole lower corner is also in shadow.
It's a mess.
Looks like you're going straight in with color. Did you do a sketch at all, or are you just massing in shapes?
I'm just massing in shapes. Sometimes I pick a shape that I can sort of build the composition around if I know a shape needs to be in a certain area. In this case, I just started with the sky hole, and then my focus is this area and then the river kind of pointing towards that area there. So I tried to put in the stuff I wasn't really interested in first so I could get next a strong pattern here.
Now I've got a mixture of ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta, further defining the tree shapes. So the first sketch I'm kind of exploring, and then once I like the position of everything, then I come back in and sort of define things more clearly. And there's a branch coming up this way. I'm mainly focusing on the trunks at this point, and then I'll improvise the smaller branches using this mix to establish a value pattern. And this tree here is in dark, and there's also some dark shrubs or trees behind these bushes in the foreground. The base of the bushes is kind of dark. Side of that bush is sort of dark right there. Also mapping out the shadow pattern from the tree. And I'm using a number 4 natural bristle filbert. And I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of this brush. Actually, I think somebody gave it to me. I think Maura gave me this brush. Thank you, Maura, if you're watching. And that was over a year ago, and I've been using it ever since. It's definitely worn out. All right, I've got a mixture of sap green and cadmium yellow lemon, establishing the shape of the foliage of these trees, or this tree. I'm almost approaching this like watercolor. I'm doing a wash to start and keeping the value light. Also keeping the paint pretty thin. I mixed up a green with some phthalo blue, so I'm pushing this mix towards a blue-green. This looks like a heart right here. That may be a problem. Right now, I just want the colors to differentiate the different planes of the painting, so to speak. In other words, the blue-green will be the mid-ground, and this lighter, warmer green will be the foreground. Obviously, the tree is the foreground. I mixed up an orangish color for the distant mountain. Although I think I'll be pushing this more towards pink, but this is a good starting point. And I'll maybe break up the heart shape with a hole in the trees here where you can see a bit of the mountains. And I mixed up a warm green for these shrubs in the foreground. And a lighter value green for the grass in this area. There's a trail in this area, but there are also some grasses or plants right in here. And I kind of want to have the trail come up this way and then maybe pass through a shadow and then go off in this direction. I'm still focusing on shapes and composition at this point and trying to create some variation in the colors. Ariah's laying it on heavy. He's going with the chaos and then reel it in approach. Yeah. Whereas I'm going careful and then go chaos.
I don't know, your paint looks pretty loose. Your blocking looks good.
I'm almost kind of toning the canvas with color at this point, or toning the panel. I'm keeping it really thin. And this way, when I come over with the thicker paint, I won't have to cover everything. I can have little bits of this color showing through. At least that's the idea.
Well, that area in the tree looks really nice. That break in the tree looks really natural.
Oh, thanks. Cool. I'll be sure not to paint over that. I got a mixture here of titanium white and phthalo blue for the sky. It is picking up some of the surrounding colors, so the color's a bit muddy, but that's okay. For the trail, I'm using a mixture of cadmium red and cadmium yellow medium. And for the river rocks in the foreground, I'm using a mixture of titanium white and dioxazine purple. I will be adding some warmth to this area. The tree trunk is in shadow, so I need to start darkening the value, and I'm using a blue-greenish color here. There's actually quite a bit of reflected light on these trunks. I'm seeing yellow and even green on the tree trunks. I'm thinking of leaving the dark outlines for a while here too. Using a number 6 natural bristle flat at this point. So I stepped back and decided I didn't like the shape of the branches or the trunks. So I changed them a little bit. And I think that's a better arrangement. Other than the sky, I don't really have a lot of pure blue in the painting, so for this dark portion in the foreground, I'm using pure ultramarine blue. All right, at this point the whole panel is covered, and so the next step will be to start applying thicker paint and maybe more saturated color as well. So this light area right here is the reflected light in the creek?
Yes, I've kind of procrastinated on putting that in, which I often do, and it's not a good idea. I'm going to try to sort of kind of create a similar color pattern from the sky down here to the water.
All right, I've got a green mixture here using Viridian and ultramarine blue. From here on out, I will not be thinning the paint at all. I'm just using it the thickness that it comes out of the tube. And the plan is to build up the painting using loaded intentional strokes. All right, so I've darkened up the foliage of this tree in the foreground. And there's a bit of variation in the green. For this hill in the background, I'm going with a mixture of titanium white and quinacridone magenta. And this will get some red into the painting. And technically it's pink, but there isn't a lot of red in the painting otherwise. It'll also hopefully create a sense of depth. You're all done, right?
Surrender.
I can tell by the paint on your face. That
I don't know what it looks like yet, but I'll find out soon.
Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Super chunky too. There's like lots of texture. And nice play of warm and cool too.
Thanks to a little advice from you.
Yeah, no worries, man. That's great. All right, so here is what I finished up with. This painting took about 2.5 hours to complete. It was finished on site. My goals with this painting were to use primary and secondary colors only. In other words, having pure identifiable color. Number 2 was to paint without medium because I want to apply thick paint. And then number 3, trying to keep my values close to a mid-tone because again, there's more color in the mid-range values. This was a fun painting to do, although challenging, and I do think that the saturation does help create some vitality and a feeling of light, so the color explorations will continue. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. It's Patreon support. It helps keep me making these videos, and it's much appreciated. I've also put a PayPal tip jar down below, and I will put a link to Ariah's Instagram down below as well, so check it out. Other than that, stay creative. I'll see you guys in the next video.